Yes, yes, yes. Welcome back. Good. It's afternoon now. It's afternoon. I had to check what time of the day it was. Welcome back to the terrace. Major transfer leak has broke this morning. Already starting to trend across social media. Manchester United have use the word settled, which is amazing, but settled and agreed internally that Haaland is the priority target to rebolster the Manchester United front line. Cavani looking set to leave. There will not be a renewal of his contract this summer. The player wants to go and play in South America. Boca Juniors are the favourites. That's been reported. And Man United, under the guidance of John Myrtle, are going to go all out for Haaland. And I instantly know, I want to get this in straight away, because I know what the comments are going to be. Stop dreaming. Stop dreaming. It's not going to happen. That's the point. That's the point here. We can go through and read what the article here says. I'm going to read it for you now. It says, Manchester United settle on Haaland as they striker priority in the transfer market. Haaland was one that got away from Man United last season, but they are prepared to try and sign the prolific Borussia Dortmund striker again. Blah, 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 blah. It says here that Man United manager Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and football director John Myrtle mutually agree that Haaland, 20, is the ideal long-term replacement for Lukaku, having tried to sign him from Red Bull Salzburg last season. Goes into what he's doing. The article just simply states that it's who Man United want. It's the priority signing they have. And do you know what? This has been leaked. You know, the Manchester Evening News have gone with it and many other outlets. And I see everyone laughing. And you're right to laugh. And that's the point here. A lot of people that are supportive of Ollie and have looked at the appointment of the footballing director and Fletcher, etc. They've kind of looked at this and said, well, let's give it some time. And I'm willing to give it time. And if I'm proven wrong, I'll come out and say I'm wrong. But this is how we're going to know whether there's been change. This is how you live and die by giving Ollie a new deal. You give him the players that's needed. If you go very public like Man United have done, that we are going all out for Haaland, you got to land him. You got to land him. You can't be releasing news like this into the ether and then bring in Danny Ings. And I mean, no disrespect to Danny Ings, but why even go public with this? This already is the proof I need. And I know I'm going with confirmation bias here, but nothing's changing. Why are you're leaking this information to try and soften the blow that you're renewing Ollie's contract? That's all that is going on here. It's right. We've seen that the reaction to Ollie re-signing isn't great. Let's tell him we're going after Haaland. We're going to try and sign Haaland. But what's the likelihood of that happening? And if Haaland does come in, that means there's going to be no Jadon Sancho. How do people feel about that? But I read this article today, and all I could think is, one, why are you telling us? Why are you leaking this information? Why are you telling people that who we're going after, who the priority is? It sets Manchester United up for such failure. It is unbelievable. Do I think Manchester United are going to sign him? No. I think Chelsea are the front runners. I think Manchester City have a massive chance. Liverpool have got a better chance of getting him than we do. Can we afford him? Absolutely we can. Of course Man United can afford him. Of course Man United can pay the £350,000 a week salary that he is demanding. And by the way, Haaland is worth that amount of money. Haaland is worth that amount of money every single day of the week. Every single day of the week he's worth that money. The young man is he's the most prolific young striker in modern day history. No player has reached the volume of league goals, volume of total goals, and volume of Champions League goals in less game time than Erling Haaland. He has set a foundation at 20 to give him the ability to go on and be the greatest striker to ever grace a football pitch in European football. Doesn't mean he'll achieve that, but he set the foundation. He can demand as much money as he wants. He is about to go into a head-to-head challenge over the next decade. Who's better, Mbappe or Haaland? It is a marketer's dream. It is for a club and your brand, it's massive. So of course United are going to go after him. But this is how we see. This is how we see whether things have changed at the football club. Can Man United, can John Myrtle, can Darren Fletcher, Ole, and the board pull this off? If they do, then maybe, just maybe, I'm willing to start changing my mind about the direction that we're going in. But I wouldn't hold my breath. I wouldn't hold my breath for a deal like this to go through. Do me a big favor this morning, people. Smash that like button. Share this stream now on your social media platforms. Twitter, so click the share button. Click a feed. Say, listen, peeps, come over and check this out. Get this shared right now. We want to try and aim for about 20. We want to try and test something after a conversation I had with YouTube last week. We want to try and get around 30 people sharing our links per game. But like, write the link private, personalize the link and say, come check this out. Just see what people say and do. Especially on your personal platforms as well. So give that a go. Get people across right about now. I'm going to do your comments. Then we're going to share the link for you to call in. Abdullah here says, doesn't matter what it sets up for. It's about social media interactions it generates and so on from the Glazers' perspective. I hear you on that. DJ here says, Man City are the front runners. I wish it was Chelsea. I think Chelsea have got a massive chance. I think everybody wants him. I think the Premier League is a huge attraction for him. And over the next couple of summers, the Premier League is going to lead the way financially. So there's a great opportunity to get him. Dortmund are loving this, by the way, as well. Dortmund are going to push for the sale. They may not say it publicly, but they're going to push for the sale this summer. Because if he doesn't go this summer, they lose him at a fraction of the price next year. Him being so potent right now is just brilliant. Dortmund are going to be the ones. Go check out their social media posts as the Champions League continues. Watch them push. Watch them push the Mbappe Haaland agenda hard. Makes the money, bro. Makes the money. We need 4 to 5 top class players. One isn't enough. Oh, listen, don't get twisted. Just signing Haaland doesn't make Man United champions. It really, really doesn't. But I wanted to show you something when you say that, actually. And I want to see if anybody can understand the relevance of me putting this picture up. I tweeted it earlier. And I just said, this is interesting. This is so interesting. This is Man United's 2007-2008 squad that were already Premier League champions. This was ahead of the historic Champions League, Premier League double winning year. When you look at that squad, there are players on there now. Dong Fon Shui, Silvestre, Fraser Campbell, Chris Eagles, Richie Delat, Bardsley was in that squad as an example. Where you look at those players, you look at those players and just think to yourself, like bang average, elite level football players, with all due respect. Question I've got for you now, when you look at this current Manchester United squad, how many forget the first team, how many actually get into the squad? That's the question. That's a side angle of today's show where I want to see some comments. When we share the link, I want people to phone in. Because, of course, Bruno and Pogba and Rashford and Martial, in my opinion, can get into this squad. Absolutely, hands down, get into this squad. No doubt about that in my mind, that they get into this squad. But who else does? David De Gea gets into this squad. But who else? Greenwood? Yeah, Greenwood gets in. But think about it. And then think who gets into the first team. This has got to be Man United's ambition with this new board, with this new structure. We need to build a squad where when you put up the current United squad versus the 2008 United squad versus the 99 Man United squad, it creates a debate of, wow, who are we going to pull out? Who are we going to... Right now, it's easy. You'd probably add 6 or 7 of our current squad into a squad like that. But you're taking out the Chris Eagles and the Delats. When you turn around and say, what first team players actually miss out, it's almost impossible. It's almost impossible. That's the task here of this board, to build a squad that challenges the quality of previous ones. Forget comparing ourselves to other Premier League teams now. That's got to be the standard. Haaland would do that. But we're setting ourselves up for failure by making this public. They need to deliver him now. It's as simple and as straightforward as that. I'm going to share the link in the comment section now and on the Discord server. So if you want to, the Discord server's popping at the minute, by the way. I was sitting in it last night watching the interactions. Absolutely amazing. Get across to the Football Terrace Discord server now. Get yourselves involved with that. Make sure you're hitting that like button. Don't forget to do it. right now. We're going to get Neeks and we're going to get Indiana on first to speak about this. Gents, welcome back as always. Indiana, what's your thoughts on us being linked so heavily this morning with Haaland, of the John Myrtle and the club settling? He's the number one target, and they're going to go all out for him. What's your thoughts?
It makes sense, right? Because we need a striker. How many chances did we create yesterday? And we don't have a natural, instinctive number 9. I've been saying it for so long. I'm saying it in my sleep now. Will they get the deal done? No. But I do. He's Ollie's number one target. He's got to be. He's got to be. But I don't think the club would sanction the deal. That's the issue here. Although we have these people in charge, not in charge in these new roles, Woodward's still in charge. Joel Glazer still signs off on the deals. So I'm not convinced they get it over the line. But he has to be the number one target. We've got 4 wide players. We've got 4.
Indiana, when you say, I understand you say you don't think they're going to get over the line, but you also said you don't think they're going to sign off on it. Why don't you think, what would be the issue in terms of them signing off on it? Forget I understand
money.
Negotiations might go wrong. So you think money is the issue?
No, I don't, Nix, I don't think the negotiations would go wrong. I think Ollie's relationship with his dad, like, we know the main reason why we didn't sign Haaland was because of the uncertainty of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's job at Manchester United. Mostly done, by the way, by Ollie Outers on social media, like created more uncertainty. So we probably would have had Haaland. Haaland and his dad wanted the deal to happen, by the way.
I don't know. I don't necessarily subscribe to that being the reason why he didn't come. But what I would say...
I'm not saying it's the sole reason. I do think it's a key factor. Haaland's dad has come out himself and said part of the reason was the uncertainty of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer being a permanent fixture, and they didn't just want to sign for one person because it was about Haaland's development.
Well, but this is the question. This is the point, though, isn't it? I know a lot. I get Neeks' point in the last few days about certainty of a manager, but it's about the club being able to present an image to a player of shouldn't matter who the manager is. There's certainty within the football club. There's no doubt about it. The Haaland family trust and respect Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. The Norwegian connection and how that's going to play a massive part in these types of conversations. There's zero doubt about that whatsoever. But for me, what stands out in this is 2 things. One, they've leaked this information. It hasn't been leaked by anybody else because it isn't Haaland's dad saying, or anybody from the Haaland camp saying this. It's coming from Manchester United straight into the Manchester Evening News that they're going for it. It sets us up for failure. Can we pull it off? I don't even know.
You know, my biggest thing, Terry, because as you said earlier, I don't know what kind of figure you're thinking about, but I think 100 million is probably something they'll have on his head. 100 million euros, because his release clause by all what we've heard is about 75 million euros next summer. So I think they might think, all right, let's get 25 million more this year, because we'll lose out on that next year. My biggest issue, if that is the fee, is that, you know, we see reports that came out, I think, yesterday. Liverpool paid 5 million up front for Diogo Jota, and they got 12 million to pay this year towards the 45 million pound total fee. Are we going to structure a deal that allows us to not dip too deep into our cash reserves and still allow us to go out and sign other key targets? My fear is that we spend our whole money up front this summer on one player, whether it be Haaland, whether it be Sancho, and then we don't fill the other 2 or 3 positions, and we're still struggling next year. And
you're right to think like that, because not so much Chelsea. One of the reasons why Manchester City have been able to, they've signed lots of players and spent lots of money, but they always have that kind of key 50, 60 million pound marker. They've seldom they haven't ever gone above. And the reason for that is because they offer cash. They offer almost like when you're trying to negotiate a deal for a car you're buying. It's, well, okay, yeah, you got 10 grand as the price, but what would you take for cash? Companies will often do you a deal to have the money directly in their bank account. Man City will offer all the money up front. So when it comes to Dortmund accepting the deal, it will force Chelsea and Manchester United into a situation where what they'll either have to do is offer more salary or offer higher agent fees, but to offset paying the cash all up front. Does that make sense? So maybe Man United and Chelsea will have to offer a combined package in terms of sign-up fees of 120 million versus 100 million that City go for, but it's spread over a period of time. It's the only way you're going to beat City to a player like that is by it's the only way we managed to get Fred and Alexis Sanchez in front of them. Is because
Did you see the reports, Terry?
You have to offer more money because clubs want that cash in hand. When it comes to City, the money's in your bank account within a couple of days. They do a wire transfer over, and you've got that money physically there in front of you. What was that, Indiana?
One of the reports I seen today was that Haaland will be looking for a wage structure of up to 350 a week. And another report is,
he will.
That's Riola will be pushing for wages.
If that is true, we need to get rid of some players. We do. You got De Gea on 350. You got Paul Pogba on 300. You got Martial on 250. Rashford on 200. We need to get rid of players if he's asking for that kind of money. Like,
to a degree, yes, we will. There'll have to be a casualty or two within this. And again, that goes back to another issue. Now, we put this picture up earlier and we're talking about squad strength. And you think of a Haaland in the modern day game, Haaland and Paul Pogba's and Bruno Fernandes's, you could argue and debate for them to get a place even in the first 11 of this squad from 13, 14 years ago because of their technical ability, their outputs, etc. The problem with Man United is, as we've alluded to on a number of occasions, we might bring in a Haaland, but then we might see Paul Pogba and Martial leave, and it's like, wow, we've added this great player, but then it's almost one step forward, two steps back. The only caveat to that is Haaland is about to embark on one of the biggest money spinners in football history, which is going to be a 10-year battle versus Kylian Mbappe. Clubs will weigh that up. Clubs will look at that and say, how much money does that generate for the Man United brand? And this is maybe where we also have to understand the way football's going. The club doesn't care about diehard Man United fans. It cares about Haaland and Mbappe are going to pick up all the Ronaldo and Messi stands that will eventually stop supporting those two players as they move on and retire because they'll move on to those two youngsters. You can already feel it coming. Man United Football Club, Chelsea Football Club, City are looking at it and thinking, all the millions around the world that are going to pick Haaland, we get their custom. They're going to buy Haaland shirts, Haaland socks, Haaland lunchboxes, whatever it may be. And there's a lot of money to be made from that. And that's why Haaland can demand whatever he wants because he's put himself into a position where him and Mbappe are about to replace Messi and Ronaldo from a marketing point of view, from a head-to-head challenge point of view. And it's going to be interesting. Do you think, I want to ask you a question, KJ, before we bring some other callers in. If John Myrtle and Darren Fletcher between them pull this deal off, will that be a sign to you that we're changing the way we're approaching things or not quite?
No, it's not a sign because we've been doing this for years, signing big strikers, big money players. That's not new. So I would agree, like, yes, you've got the manager's first target, which is wonderful to see. But if we're going to do that, for me, what would be more impressive is if we get a Haaland, but then we secure other deals around that also fill the squad that maybe you would think, oh, why would we go after that player? Or, oh, that's a smart deal to make.
Yeah.
And when they fit into the squad, it's like, oh, it all makes sense. That would be more impressive because you don't need John Murtough and Dan Fletcher to say that Ollie and Woodward want Haaland. That's they've been wanting that for years. That's not new. So if they go on and secure some others, I'll be more impressed. But the Haaland deal, if they do it, I'll say well done, nice work.
I agree, KJ. I think it goes hand in hand with both of the things that you suggested because there is one thing in terms of getting that deal over the line, especially if there's other contenders. Because generally, when we've gone into we kind of stay away from the players where there's a battle. We kind of go over the ones where it's just us or no one. So if we are able to do that, you say well done. But I do agree that it's the other deals around, the ones that we're not expecting, that they pull off and then they fit seamlessly into the team that you can really say well done.
I agree. And if something was pulled off, if suddenly out of nowhere there was like I don't know, Tuesday afternoon at 2:00, you see a Fabrizio tweet saying, "Not here we go, but oh my god, coming soon." Indeed, to Man United, and it just happens out the blue. That's when I'll be like, changes. I've got a comment here from Corey that says, Terry, stop dreaming. I swear you always chat about Haaland. You're living in a fantasy. Bro, I always appreciate the comments. But again, you can't trigger the alpha still when you make up, not a lie, but what you're implying in that tweet is that I've made this story up. This is a genuine report. I've actually said I don't think we'll get him. So cheers for your comment. Nice try trying to trigger, but the alpha still is far too strong for you, bro.
Before we go into calls,
look at it, bro. Look at that. You can't do it. Nice try though. I'll give you a C- for the attempt. Work on it. Keep working on the trolling, and we'll give you. We might start doing that on the Football Terrace, giving out stars for trolls, like free membership to the best trolls, just because you're good at triggering. Go on, KJ. Sorry.
So before we go in, like, I know Neeks has touched on it as well in terms of hopefully United don't spend all summer and then spend all our budget on one player, wherever who it may be, but. Indiana is hell-bent on a striker. I don't understand why. I'm more of, when we face low-block teams, we struggle to get the ball to the striker. We need a creative winger.
Agreed.
Man United, really, really and truly, if we were serious, we go to Dortmund, 180 to 200 mil, maybe a player in there as well. You take both of them. You take Sancho and Haaland. That's what we should really be doing.
And we say we'll be back in a couple of years for Jude Bellingham. Stay tuned.
Yeah, and say we'll be back later. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't worry. We'll be back again.
I hear you on that. That's how Man United should be operating.
Would you swap Martial?
For who?
Would you put Martial in the deal, KJ?
For who?
Well,
if you told
me that if I gave Dortmund money and Martial for Sancho and Haaland, bruv, Anthony,
thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the memories, but it's time to go. You know what I'm saying?
With the state of Man United's squad, we almost have to look at deals again, not in that sort of way, that not in the kind of direct with every club, but it would be a case of whatever quality leaves, it's got to be 2 for 1. So if Pogba was to leave this summer, I would want, and I'm just going to throw names out there, they don't necessarily have to be realistic at this point, but if he leaves and we brought in Ndidi and Jude Bellingham and just throw them out there, Pogba leaving wouldn't bother me. Does that make sense? Because it's like I'm sad he's gone because I like him, but we've brought quality in. Where Man United have gone wrong in years is we lose a good player and there is no replacement in the short, medium, or long term, and it causes a big problem. We're going to get some calls here. We're going to get some more people involved to have their say. First up, we're going to go with. We're going to go Fixer. Fixer, what you saying, bro?
Hello, how you guys doing this afternoon? Yeah, what I wanted to say is we need to get Haaland if we can. I mean, I think that is the legendary signing that Man United lacks at the moment. What I took from yesterday's game was we have a lot of players who we the fans admire and put on pedestals, but when it comes down to the nitty-gritty, they're just not good enough. I'm sorry, I know this is going to trigger a lot of people, but Greenwood had a first season boost. Like he's wasteful in front of goal. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. He does everything else quite. I understand that, KJ. I understand he's a kid, but a real footballer starts to show himself at this point in time. Marcus Rashford when he came in was a kid as well. No. Check this out. Marcus Rashford came in as a kid, and has maintained the same levels.
Name me
for almost 4 years.
Besides killing Mbappe and Haaland and the rare players, name me players that show themselves to be stone cold killers.
Marcus Rashford started his career with two goals to save Man United from crashing out of Europe. Next week, 2 goals against Arsenal, and he's never looked back. Every single season, he's always been in and around top scorers at the club. Greenwood had a 1-season boost, and this season he's pretty much nowhere. Don't get me wrong, he's a fantastic player, but I'm not saying we should get rid of him, but we cannot. As
long as you're saying he needs time, that's all I care about.
Yeah, I'm not saying we should get rid of him, like throw him into the scrap heap, because he does bring something, but he's not the player we should hang our hat on. Do you understand? Not at the moment, anyways.
Do you know what's interesting? What I like about when I look at Haaland and I look at Greenwood is I don't think they play like each other. So the fact they don't play like one another, I think Greenwood can play off the shoulder, but loves the ball loves it into feet. He can go left, he can go right, he can drift out wide. He's a very good football player technically. I've said this before, everyone knows I love Marcus Rashford. But if Haaland and Sancho both joined as an example, again, this is example based for everyone in the audience going, you're not going to get them. Oh, I hate this. Nobody is suggesting that. It's called a hypothesis. It's an example. I actually think Greenwood has more than the capability to oust Rashford from this team. So whether he plays as an inside forward or he plays off the striker, that can be done. And for me, more competition, the better. But on Greenwood,
that's the thing. Capabilities. He's like, it's a promise. It's always a promise.
Yeah, but Greenwood is going to push on. But that shouldn't mean Man United.
I agree.
But Man United shouldn't, in my opinion, watch the parade go by, because the painful thing will be we say no to Haaland. Just say we've got the ability to sign him, and we say no because Greenwood's coming, and then Greenwood doesn't progress how we want. The ridicule will be deep. The ridicule will be no one will care. No fan will care that they thought Greenwood was going to be good enough. It will be, but I'm not in charge of the club. You made the wrong decision. So they do need to get that right. In terms of Haaland coming, though, Fixer, do you think it's plausible? Do you think it's doable? Can it happen?
It can happen. We just need to put on our big boy trousers and pay the money. You know, Man United can afford to buy the guy. It's not like we're a broke team that we cannot. If it's 100 million, 120 million, whatever it costs. I mean, Atletico bought João Felix about 3 years ago now for 120 million. We're 10 times richer than our club. So why can't we pay the money for a footballer that every man and his dog knows is gonna give us the results? But saying that, we need somebody. We need more as well. We need to get rid of, or we need to replace Daniel James as a starter. We need to. I was looking at this guy Rafinha. If we can get Rafinha in as well with Haaland. And I'm going to say something else that's controversial. We need to get rid of let Pogba go. Because as amazing as Pogba is, he's either fighting with the club or injured. He's never available to play for us when we need him. Think about all our memorable moments we've had in Manchester United. That comeback against PSG 2 years ago, the game against Man City a few days ago, and other memorable moments we've had. He wasn't on the pitch. So we can still move on without him. We can still survive without him. All we need to do is like get a player like Kessie or somebody who is not.
We need to sell Paul Pogba, like, just for as a club and for his own career, he needs to go. But to say he's not been part of any memorable moments is a lie and a bit much.
Apart from his first season, I'll give you his first season.
No.
Hang on a minute.
Sorry, Terry. The PSG comeback, he was suspended. You know what I mean? So he would have played if he was fit enough.
Yeah, he got a red card. In my opinion, he got a red card because he didn't believe we would come back.
Man City, he was the reason why we made the comeback of 3-2.
That was one game in like 3 seasons.
The Europa League, he was massive part of. He was massive part of so many big games. What are you talking about?
I said his first season was fine. Don't get me wrong. His first season was amazing. I'll give him that. But after that, there isn't much to write home about, unfortunately.
He scored two winning goals as screamers this year. Got the equaliser against West Ham away. There's been 3 times this season where he's had special moments to get us back into games or win us matches.
That's not enough. That's not enough. That's not enough.
No, that's not the point. Hang on a minute. Hang on. It's not about not being enough or not. Your first claim was outside his first season, he hasn't done it. I've just given you 3 examples that spring to mind easily without looking at it. Not to mention what he did. What about his performance when he came on in the second half against Paris Saint-Germain this season in the Champions League? Sensational. What about the special moments in games? The goddamn Cruyff turn that led to the final, the winning goal against Sheffield United earlier on this year. Now, these are just little things.
So basically, you're saying he scored 4 goals, and because of that, he's amazing.
No,
I mean, come on.
Look at this season. When Ali first came in, look at that run. When Ali first came in, look at that run. He was one of the best midfielder in Europe. My brother, you know what I'm saying? You said
he scored a lot of penalties during that run. He scored a lot of penalties. Something that Bruno Fernandes about now.
We're not saying that he's had every single moment. He's been amazing with Paul Pogba. But what we're saying is your statement of
I said our most memorable. I didn't say every moment. I said our most memorable.
Guys, Fixer, I get your point, but that's your most memorable moments. There are other moments that are memorable for Manchester United fans. And the only one that really stands out that he wasn't involved in was that comeback away against Paris Saint-Germain. But to act like Pogba has been an average signing or not impactful because he didn't play in that game that just strikes me as being a bit odd because he's had so many great moments. He scored so many important goals, had so many brilliant performances. And Paul Pogba has been absolutely hung out to dry by this football club by being surrounded by average football players for a hell of a long time. And I just think it's disrespectful that we feel that he should be the guy to carry. We've even seen like Bruno in the last few weeks struggle. When Bruno has a quiet game at the moment, there's almost zero creativity because Paul Pogba's not there. Paul Pogba has suffered with that for 5 years. Where if Paul Pogba isn't on point, nobody else was there to pick up the mantle and run with it. And it's created this kind of illusion that Paul Pogba's the guy that's let us down. No, he hasn't. No player.
I didn't say that. He just misses a lot of games for us. He misses a lot of games. He misses like half quarter of a season.
Does he have an injury problem?
Time.
Does he have an injury? Does he have injury concerns? Yes. Nobody's denying that. If you said I want him gone because I think he's becoming too injury prone,
he's gonna play for France next week, by the way. So
yeah, and he'll be back.
I'll leave that out. I'll leave that up
He'll
in
be
the
back
open.
for us. He'll be back for us very soon. Fixer, thank you for calling, mate. We love controversial opinions here on the Football Terrace. One final question, then, actually. Who in the current Man United squad now gets into the 2008 Manchester United squad? Who gets into this team?
Bruno Fernandes, David De Gea, Marcus Rashford, but he'll probably come off the bench.
Paul Pogba.
Well, no, because Ferguson got rid of Pogba, so I'm not gonna put Pogba there. But actually, if I put on my my unbiased hat, I would say he probably should go in there, but he's not gonna contribute enough for the team, so I don't think he'll be in there.
Bro, Paul Pogba with just imagine this team. I know Scholes is great, but Paul Pogba with anchors behind him like Owen Hargreaves and Michael Carrick. Well,
he was in there. He was in there, and they let him go. So it's not like
they let him go as a child. We're talking about Paul Pogba.
Let him go.
Fixer, thank you very much, mate, for getting involved. Really appreciate it. Next call.
He had a Paul Pogba agenda. That is so strange.
I mean, they say it's generally Gammons that do, but Fixer has just proven broke the mold there. They normally say it's at Gammon FC that do it. We're going to go to Mo next. Mo, welcome to the terrace. What do you want to say?
Well, first and foremost, with the Haaland deal, I think it's going to happen, but I don't want to waste all our budget on him because we need a new central defender, we need a right winger, we need a CDM, and we need a striker. If Haaland happens, then some of those positions won't get filled. But I agree with what KG said. About Martial and.
Yep.
Hello? Martial and the
his Mo's signal's gone. So I wanted to ask him a question actually. So he thinks, I don't know where he's gone. He might come back in a minute. So he thinks the deal's gonna happen. Do any of you think that the Haaland deal will happen for Manchester United?
Hell no.
I think it's a long way from happening. Like, I'm not saying it can't happen. I'm not on a hell no vibe, but I think we're just so far away from it. There's so many other obstacles that we need to consider. First and foremost, obviously, I think we're going to get Champions League football. The possible rivals in for him, are they going to be in Champions League? I.e., Liverpool, Chelsea, for example. We know Man City will be, so that's one. If they're thinking about Spain, we know Real Madrid, Barcelona will be in there. So you've already got at least 3 rivals for his signature. And then you have to talk about, as you mentioned earlier, getting the deals over the line, which we struggled to do. I don't think it's a clear cut, but I think we've got a chance.
One second.
Ourselves.
Yeah, no, I get that. Mo's back with us. Mo, I just want to go back and clarify something. So you think the Haaland deal will happen?
Yeah, I think it's going to happen. I think it's going to be a long one, but I think a lot of work. I think they're probably doing work behind the scenes. Ole is dropping hints here and there where I've spoken to him and we'll see what happens or whatnot. It's either going to be between Man United or someone else. But I think that deal's going to happen, Terry, because they're already dropping hints here and there. Like they're saying, I've spoken to him. We'll see what happens. So there must be some talk going on behind the scenes. Is it going to happen? Most likely, yeah, because Ed Woodward loves this kind of big galactical signings. My issue is they're going to have to sell some players. They're going to have to sell Martial. I will sign up Paul Pogba to a new deal. I don't want to lose Pogba because to replace Pogba, it's going to cost too much money, and the board are not going to spend money to replace Paul Pogba. But if you get Haaland, then Terry, it's going to be tough to get Sancho. It's either going to be between Haaland or Sancho. You can't have both. If you go,
who would you pick, Mo? Who would be your pick if you could choose? If both were available and Man United could sign both, which of the two do you think is most important for Manchester United?
I'm going to go with Haaland because we already got Amad Diallo, and if he can improve and if we can develop him,
No.
No,
but you know, I don't understand this.
I'm not saying no.
KJ, let me say what. Let me say, because I think
Sony. This is what gets me. When I've said before, I believe Greenwood with development and time can become a Haaland level talent. People are like, no, you can't do that. He's too young. He needs a striker in front of him. He needs time to develop. But now that we've got Diallo, it's all of a sudden he don't need time. He's not too young. Oh, it's fine.
He can be Sancho.
Now. We don't need the right wing. It's my days. It gets to my head.
Yeah,
I don't think it's that, KJ. I don't think it's that. So no. Hang on. We do create chances. It's a myth that we don't. We do create chances. Do you see how many balls went across the box yesterday?
Yeah, but Indiana.
What's the difference? No, hang on. What's the difference between a striker and an elite striker? An elite striker converts the harder chances.
Indiana. My point is not about this. In this discussion, it's not about that. It's about saying Diallo is ready to be the right winger for years at 19 or 18, and Greenwood's not ready to play striker. It makes no sense. They're both young. We need a right winger.
My thing is more. We have wide players. We do create chances. So like. Let's actually fix the mechanics of the car before we buy some shiny rims. Do you know what I mean?
Indiana, you're
like,
saying
I would disagree.
I'd get a midfielder before I get.
You're saying Diallo next season are starting right winger? Yes or no?
What's that?
You coach, Mr. Coach himself, who always says we need people in front of the players, in front of the youth.
Of course, we need a right winger. Of course, we need a more attacking right back. We need two second midfielders.
I suppose, but it's about the Sancho argument. Is if you were to throw Rafinha in there as an example, who will be available at a fraction of the price potentially of a Sancho, it may counteract it. What's interesting is Manchester City averaged the highest shots per game and the highest chances created per game in the Premier League, and they on average have 15 shots per game, and they average around 13.5 to 14 chances per game. Man United averaged 14 shots per game and 12.5 chances created per game. In terms of big chances created, City currently average 2.1. Man United average 1.89, so 1.9. We are only marginally behind them in terms of opportunities created, big chances created, and shots on goal. The difference is their conversion rate is 18% better than ours is.
But Terry, and that's fine. But on top of that, Man City are doing this without a striker, which means that, of course, we're not going to say we're not going to play exactly like Man City are going to play. But having an elite striker, of course, it's a benefit if you can have him. But it's clearly not the be all and end all because there's only a limited number of elite strikers out there, and many teams are. One second. Can I just continue to say we have to look at how we're creating these chances? So. A lot of our chances, I don't have this in front of me, but I suspect a lot of them are on the break. Man City, whether they're winning 1-0 or winning 5-0, teams are still camped on their 6-yard box, 10-yard, 18-yard box. Yet Man City are still creating chances. How many chances are we creating, or big chances are we creating against teams or in positions from a low block defensive position? I would suggest it's a lot less than Man City. And we're going to come up against that more and more, especially as we aim for the bigger trophies. And I think getting a creative player outside of Bruno Fernandes is so key.
So I totally agree. I think this is, but we're getting into almost the argument where, in the same way that the Glazers look at it is, well, what we need a creator and we need a striker. Let's pick one. What we need is both, but it's weighing up the options. We do need both here. So I'm not denying that. If we just sign Haaland, that's it, it's over. But that's the problem with football conversation nowadays. Everybody wants to, I'm not saying you're doing this, Nick. Everybody wants to push it down to, well, you want Haaland. That means you don't think we need more creativity. Of course not. Of course we need more. But it's weighing up. The question will be, do you think we'll get more bang for our buck from Haaland or from Sancho? For me, with the level of creativity that we already have, Haaland is going to convert more of those chances. That's going to elevate us. Can we then go and find somebody who is going to create a better rate from that right-hand side than Dan James or when Rashford plays there, but isn't quite as good as Jadon Sancho? I think that's an easier player to find who's very creative, maybe not to a Jadon Sancho level for the right-hand side, than finding someone that plays centrally that's potent. And on your point, Neeks, about not you're doing it without a prolific number 9, I agree with you, but they have prolific players within the attacking roles that are converting these opportunities and chances. This season, Man United, in terms of the front players, not midfielders, we've only had Rashford that's converted enough chances. And even with Rashford, his conversion rate is still only 18% this year. And we need to look for that to be somewhere. You look at a Haaland.
Sancho scores and creates. Let's remember that. He's not just a creator.
He does. And I think, but that's why, and again, and everyone's entitled to an opinion. For me, with Haaland, I would absolutely love him. But if we didn't get him and we signed Sancho, I'm still happy and I'm celebrating. It isn't.
Terry, one thing.
Yes, go on, Mo.
But one thing you can guarantee is Ed Woodward messing it up.
Yeah, that's true.
He's gonna mess it up. I'm telling you. Because I think the relationship with Dortmund, guys, he's damaged it, man. He's damaged the relationship with Dortmund. I think if someone else comes in for Haaland, they'll just send him to the other person because he's messed up the. Don't let Ed Woodward near the negotiations.
Yeah, listen. Listen. We know that he can definitely kill it. Mo, great call, great points.
Nice.
Really appreciate you coming on, mate. Speak to you again soon. Next on the show, we're gonna have David with us. David, what you saying, mate?
Yeah, I'm good.
Oh, we're not gonna get Haaland. Oh, he's coming to Chelsea already.
No, I want
Germany
Haaland,
don't need to sell. They got enough money.
That's again Indiana. That wasn't an always thing. That was at the time thing. So all right, but we move. I was listening to what you guys were saying about the difference between you and City, and it's not actually like them having like being more clinical. It's the fact that they create a higher quality of chance. So when you create more higher quality chances, you just score more goals. That's the difference between City and the whole league. They just create so many chances every game.
They do, but it isn't disproportionately higher. What they have is more clinical players. So some of their chances are like, I'll give you an example. What game was it in the other day? It was the AC Milan game where Greenwood does brilliantly, puts it across 6-yard box, and Dan James meets it on his left foot and it goes wide. City convert more of those. So I don't necessarily. So sometimes it's that case because, and this is what Haaland does. Haaland does this as an example. Pique Aguero, Harry Kane, these players all do this where they get the half chances that the team creates and they bury lots of them. So it makes it look like they're creating more chances. On a big chance creation level, they do create the most in the league, but it's marginal. You're not talking about them creating 5 or 6 big chances per game and everybody else creates 2. It really isn't that difference. The point is that more clinical players, and that's why a Sancho or a Haaland, both would be out of this world, are needed because they're high levels of chances created, plus their ability to take a half chance and finish it on a regular basis just outweighs most of the players.
What I'm saying is City's half chances are of a better quality. Like it's easier to hit their half chances than it is to hit a United's half chance. That's what I'm trying to say, because their XG is like, again, it's Pep, so the way he plays his football creates loads of goals. It's quite simple.
Is basically the quality of big chance and half chance is superior to the quality of everyone else's big chance and half chances in the league.
You know why that is
met with superior players in the midfield, right?
That's what I was just about to say to you. That this is what it comes down to. It's about higher quality. You throw Sancho and Haaland into Man United's team, and what's the level of chances created improved? Because Jadon Sancho is twice the football player that Dan James is. Even without a better system and coaching, it instantly improves. I'm not having a pop here at City. They've built this themselves. But when you have a world-class manager with top-level players, you do it. Up until this season, and we saw Liverpool have a few players out of form and a few players injured, their system was amazing, creating so many chances. They always looked like they were going to score. Suddenly, it isn't working. Why? Because they're relying on bringing the man like Shaqiri on. Do you know what I mean? And it changes. And I think for me, that's why, even with Ole, even without Ole, we get a better manager. Where I still think this club's going to fail is by not landing these types of players. When we put this picture up here, that squad is full of outright quality. And I did it on purpose because I saw someone put a picture up earlier of a goal where Tevez, Berbatov, Rooney, and somebody else was celebrating a goal. And it just reminded me that the level of quality within our squad is awful. Now, Fergie was a brilliant manager, but if you take out from the 2008 team, so Berbatov's not there. If you take out Ronaldo, because we don't have a player of his quality, if you take out Rooney, if you take out Giggs, you take out Scholes, and take out both our centre backs, is this team winning the Premier League and Champions League as a double?
Nope.
Neither. Winning neither, not the double.
And that's with Fergie, the greatest club manager of all time. So this is why, for me, this is why I'm parking the whole Ole conversation. I don't even care about the style of football and play here. We just need to go out and get the best players possible. And it's debatable whether you think we need more creativity or we need finishes. Everyone's going to have a different point of view. What is imperative is that we land more players of the Haaland, Sancho, Pogba level. If we don't and we keep settling for what's below that, that's another it's another indictment that we are willing to second best.
You know what I'll say, Terry? And I think, of course, if we can go out, and I'm sure no one on the stream, well, David might not want it, but the rest of us, if we could go out and get a world-class centre-back, midfielder, right-wing and striker, we'll take it all. But realistically, if we get 2, we've had a good summer. Realistically. I think I would be more willing to go for a Sancho and a midfielder as opposed to a Haaland and let's say a centre back, for example. I think those 2 positions are probably even more priority. And the reason why I say that is because one of our issues are our inability to sustain attacks. So you might create a chance and then it will take us a longer time to then create another chance and then create another chance. And then the rest of them we're creating are on the counter attack. What Man City do so well is they put a cross in the box. It comes out. They go straight back again, and they basically pen teams and break them down and pressure them to get those chances. We don't have any elite strikers in our team. Cavani, at the end of his career, but we've got goal scorers. Bruno Fernandes is a goal scorer. Marcus Rashford is a goal scorer. Mason Greenwood is a goal scorer. Martial, I wouldn't say as much.
Martial on form is a goal
scorer. On form, yeah, but I don't think his first thought generally isn't even scoring goals. Bruno Fernandes wants to score more than Martial does. The issue is that we don't have many avenues of creativity. Bruno Fernandes is a creator. Luke Shaw's a creator. That's it. That's actually it.
No,
the right side is nearly obsolete.
Yeah, but Neeks, Cavani's our only striker. He is our only striker, and throughout his whole career, he has missed
still got goals. But we still got goals across our team.
Here's what will happen. Do you know what? We will create more chances, but the way I see it, we'll just miss more.
Yeah, but
we'll score more. But we'll score more. But we'll score more.
Let's try and convert the chances we've got.
I suppose the only other caveat, I totally agree with what Nick's. In an ideal world, you build the additional creativity and then you add the striker as the final piece. The problem that you've got, Man United are probably looking at Haaland for multiple reasons, not just his goal-scoring ability, but the profile of player that he is going to be on a global scale from a marketing point of view. They may think it's better business to break the bank for him this summer than to wait until next year when all and sundry will come in for him. One, the buyout clause makes him cheaper, but secondly, a lot of clubs will have started to recover financially because there'll be a year of fans being back at football, which we know is going to come as an example. So it may be a case of, yes, we know we need more creativity, but we just cannot afford to miss out on Haaland because
which is fine.
Yeah, I get that.
But when we got Diallo developing and he has bad games, and then we have to take him off, and then the next person in line is Dan James on the right hand side, y'all are gonna be upset.
From an outside's perspective, I think you need Sancho more than you need Haaland because you don't have a right winger. You don't actually have one. I know Diallo is
David is more than a
goal, but
we don't
have a right hand side. We don't have a right hand side.
You have the thing is, you have a serviceable striker. Like Martial may not be great, but he's serviceable. Like he's the drop. Let me put it like this: the drop off between Sancho and Diallo is greater than the drop off between Haaland and Martial. Let me put it like that.
No, I disagree in the box. David,
Agreed.
I'm not happy watching Manchester United play West Ham, create all those chances, and then be absolutely shitting it in the last few minutes from corners. Like we could draw the game. I'm not happy with the AC Milan games conceding the last minute. The way you win games, this is going to blow your mind. It's by scoring goals.
Indiana, but look at
Do you
when
know what I mean? Like,
look at when
the chances we create. They were
look at when we
tap-ins.
create those chances though in there. Indiana,
We
look
did
at when
create
we
the
created
chances.
those
They're
chances.
tap-ins. And if you've got a proper striker,
we created most of our best
KJ.
chances after we scored a goal, after 1-0. The problem was we was finding it so hard.
We
to break
didn't even
them down
score
at
that
0-0.
goal, KJ. Did you get that right?
What you say?
That was no goal. We didn't even score that goal.
Exactly. So we
But
need
the point that KJ is making, is that the best chances we create, the ones you're talking about, the balls going across the box, this, that, whatever, the best chances or the biggest openings were after we took the lead, which was after 60 minutes.
Yeah,
we weren't creating those chances when they were sitting back.
Hang on. But that's partly because they played with 11 men behind the ball and they didn't try
Terry. But Man City play against that. But Man City play against that for 90 minutes every game, and they still create the more chances than we do.
They do.
Do you know why that is?
They do, but it's again, like I say, we do need more and everything else. I think what we've got to get at, where we've got to understand things is we're still going to be limited, because if we sign Sancho, we're not going to go and sign a prolific goal scorer. We sign a prolific goal scorer, we're not going to sign very many more players at a higher level production when it comes to creativity, because the club won't do that. Like, that's my belief. That's why we go back to the beginning of this conversation. I think it's really risky, the club sharing this information, because if you don't get him now, it's an embarrassment for them. It's an embarrassment for the club. But I also get this feeling that they might make this signing and then they go, there you go. We'll give you a couple of filler players as well.
No, it'll be fine because Indiana will have his elite striker, and apparently we'll be able to score every single shot we take now.
I didn't say that.
Terry, can I just drop one? Can I just drop one stat? Just looking at Transfermarkt, it's not verified, but I'll just drop it here. Man United have a better conversion rate as a team than Manchester City this season. Yeah, Manchester City have scored more goals than us.
Yeah,
why? Because they create more chances.
They create a higher quality.
But also more because they've also had more shots.
I think you're missing the point.
Shots, and they've created better quality chances.
But Neeks, one of an Arsenal fan came on here yesterday and said that football's about coaching what you do when you're on the ball, which is complete rubbish, right? Football's about what you do off the ball. So think about this, because again, this will blow your mind. One ball, 22 men. Right? So it's about what you do off the ball. The top players, they find these positions off the ball. Creativity isn't all about what you're doing with the ball. It's about what you're doing off the ball. So top strikers in the box will create more opportunities to create chances.
Man City
we don't attack the post. But that's different, because listen, how often do you want Fred taking shots on the edge of the box? How often do Man City want their players taking shots?
So when it comes to City and Man United this year, I just went and checked it. So it's interesting, actually. They've scored 64 goals. We've scored 56. This is in the league this year. Conversion rate is identical at 19%. I swear I read City's was higher. I might look at all competitions, so maybe it's slightly higher because of Champions League. The difference is, so chances created, they've created 354 chances this year. We've created 317. So clearly that, they've created an extra 40 odd chances than we have. But shots is where there's a big difference. So they've had 329 shots and we've had only 286. Shooting accuracy, we actually hit it on target more than they do. They're just having more shots than us in games. And you're absolutely right, but it's what you do with those shots. So they're actually hitting less on target than us on a percentage base ratio. They just create more. So there's no doubt, as you're absolutely right, that we do need to create more opportunities and chances. I think some of that also comes, though, from having strikers with better movement. I don't get me wrong. I've said for a long time, we need more creators just to balance things out. Our attack is all goal scorers and not enough creators, in my opinion.
So we want to add one more and not get okay, cool, isn't it? Cool. I see you guys. I see you.
No, that wasn't what I'm talking about. I'm just saying, though, that where we also get let down a lot of Man United is the reading of the game, because people don't think. There's a reason why Raheem Sterling scores a lot of bloody tap-ins because he reads where that ball's coming across. Just go back and watch some games this season where we thread a ball across the 6-yard box and no one's made a run into that position. That won't count as a chance created because no one's on the end of it. Now, we also know that Raheem Sterling will miss a few of those this season. We all laugh at him for it, right? But he's always there. That's where we let ourselves down sometimes as a club. We'll play the ball into the right areas, but nobody's made the run. What we've enjoyed about Cavani is that we could see Cavani making these movements. And I think there's an element of that needs to be added. But I'll say again, if we sign another striker, we also don't bring additional quality in terms of creativity this summer, and it doesn't necessarily have to be Jadon Sancho, we are still going to struggle because there's a lack of balance. And the right-hand side of our attack is so important. One sec, mate. The right-hand side of Man United, even if we sign Haaland, it'd be great. I'll celebrate it. Of course I will. But if we don't address the right-hand side of our attack this year, we are not going to move forward because, again, it's about being you have to be unpredictable in your approach. We know, and I looked at the stat earlier on today, 43% of our attacks come from our right-hand side. And right-hand side, you compare that to Man City, and it's 38 versus 32 on both their wings. So it's almost equal. They spread that play. What side are they going down? Nobody knows. And we need more of that. And we have players that beat people in our team. None of our players that can beat anyone try and create. They all try and score. So we need to add both. I think that's the most important bit here. I want to go to some more calls before we end this stream here. Do me a favor, everyone who's tuning in, smash that like button. Share this on your social media streams as well. We'll go to some quick fire calls here. First up, we've got Citizen on the line. Citizen, what are you saying?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, bro. What do you want to say?
What I wanted to say was with Haaland, because City are the main target, and we've been in contact with his camp and everything, and City would want to get 120 million for Haaland, but the thing is, we have an academy player called Liam Delap, who's not ready yet, but he's scoring a lot of goals in the academy, and he's someone to look forward to in the future. But if we get Haaland, he might be a player that's gone. That's what I wanted to say.
Fair enough, mate. Thank you for calling in. Really appreciate that, bro. Next up, Matthew's on the line. What do you want to say, Matthew?
Yeah, to be honest, I've been searching in the transfer market myself. I personally think I don't want Haaland. I see a player, Memphis Depay, his contract ends in the summer. But I mean, that's a free player. And we can
bring him back.
Sorry?
I said bring him back.
Bring him back. Why not? Like, if we're not going to get Haaland, bring at least some quality. I know he's got experience now. I know his injury record's not too bad, or not bad. But yeah, I'll get him. Then obviously focus on the CDM and centre back options.
I don't know about Depay.
Wrong profile for what we're looking for.
Yeah, the Depay thing worries me because it would be another 4 or 5 year deal, and it's whether or not he can do it in England is such a big question. But
his injury record's not good either.
My biggest concern is the injury record more than anything. I feel like when he first came, he was he's admitted himself he wasn't ready. He was a bit immature. He was not mature enough, but he's gone away. He's the leader of the national team. He's a talisman for the national team, and he's shown that at Lyon that he can find his form again. Yes, the big question is, can he do it in England? Can he do it for a big club? But if we was to bring him back, I wouldn't be annoyed. I'll just be like, yo, man's injury record is poor, fam.
Do you remember that goal he scored in one of the early stages? I want to say it was either Champions League or
Bruges, bruv. Oh, my days.
That's when I thought, I was like, oh, we're on to a player here. It didn't quite work out. Matt, thank you very much for calling in, bro. Really appreciate that. Next on the line, our eye test was backstage and then he disappeared. I'm not too sure where the geezer went, but try calling back in.
Can I just say one more thing about Depay? Like, if he could stay fit, do you know the one thing we haven't got, which is a traditional thing at Man United, is somebody who is clinical on free kicks. Like, we haven't had a decent free kick taker for a long time.
Tell us, but he's on the bench.
No, well, I thought
Bruno.
It's interesting, actually. Look, Bruno Fernandes ain't a bad free kick taker. Do you know, I was looking the other day. Do you know, on average, even the best free kick takers in the world only really score 4 or 5 free kicks a season. That's like elite.
Messi's are way above. It's like an anomaly, but everyone else is below.
No,
even
Messi's
That's
even
because
dropped
we
now.
have Ronaldo.
guys, one at a time. Even when you look at Beckham, I think Beckham's like, when you break it down over how many years he played, it averages like 4 a season or something. So the free kicks is an interesting one. Every now and then you get a Ward-Prowse who's just exponentially good at them. But yeah, no, I hear what you're saying. Memphis could do it. iTest is now back with us. iTest, what you saying?
Yes, I want to say
iTest.
that
Is he balling?
I think instead of I think, hello.
Yeah, we
Hello,
can
can
hear
you
you.
hear
Your microphone's fixed. Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. Go on, go for it.
Okay, yeah. So I wanted to say is, yeah, I think we shouldn't waste all our transfer budget on just one player. On Haaland. Haaland's probably gonna be like 150 mil. He's gonna be stupid money. Sancho's gonna be stupid money. And then what's gonna happen if we get these players? We're not gonna get a CDM. We're not gonna get a right winger if we get Haaland. Yeah, you look at the way City spend. When was the last time they've never spent on a player more than 70 mil? They've never spent more than 70 million on a player.
There's a
They
reason for
spend
that.
around 50 mil. But they buy like 5-6 players for 50 million each and fill each position. That's what I think we should do.
Do you know why that is, though?
Listen, I know what you're gonna say, but
what am I gonna say?
You know, you're gonna
But
say,
what-
it's the way the board is ran.
So
and all of that,
partly, but it's not about what I'm gonna. I'm sorry, I had to say this to you, mate, because I do love the fact you call in, you super chat, you member. Like, I respect that, but it isn't about what I'm gonna say. It's about dealing with the facts. You said that they do that, and it's great. It's partly how they're run, and they have an amazing board and negotiators, etc. But it's the fact they pay cash. And last summer, the media tried to pull 2 summers running. The media tried to pull the wool over fans' eyes. They tried baiting and goading Arsenal fans in that they were paying for Pepe in installments, when that is how the vast majority of transfers have always been paid. And then this summer, they tried to finesse us again, thinking we're dumb, by saying, "Oh my God, Liverpool football! Have you seen what they've done? They've got Jota and they got Thiago Alcantara, and they're paying it over a 5-year period." It basically means they've signed 80 million pounds for a player. They're only paying like they only paid like 10 million pound out this year, and they're going to pay it installments. We've just discovered fire, ladies and gentlemen. That's how it always works. It's not normal. The reason that they can generally get players cheaper is that one of the reasons Man United got finessed into paying more money in the end for Maguire and paid it cash up front is because City came in and went, "All right, we'll match the offer, but we'll pay you cash." And then Man United were like, "For God's sake, now if we don't want," like, maybe they should have walked away. Everyone's going to have a difference of opinion on that. But this is what happened for us. I respect your opinion, but the reason we can do that,
I think it's because they buy smart. They don't go for, the Galacticos. I bet you any money they're not gonna go for Haaland, Sancho's. They're gonna buy smart, just like they did with Ferran Torres. And that's what I think we should do. I think we should do. I think we should do that. And there's a player that Haaland said is better than him, Mukuku, in the Dortmund academy.
Oh
Haaland
my Lord! Oh my God! Relax yourself.
He's a kid. Haaland said himself, "This guy is better than me. This guy is better than me. So why don't we be smart and be like, this guy's the future?"
Bro.
Why don't we go for him?
Listen, brother, I'll be honest with you, mate. It's not you can't disagree with something that is a industry fact. When you just go and read articles from agents and from football financiers that talk about how football transfers are done, we've had the experts on this show talking. You can't disagree with a fact because it hurts your fragile feelings.
So you're telling me there's not we can't be smart with the money. Instead of spending 150 mil, we can go for a striker.
Listen, bro, how you get smart is by having the right people doing the negotiations. Our problem is we've had our pants pulled down too many times and our backside slapped. Not only do we overpay for players, but at the same time we undersell. So we burn the financial candle at both ends every single season. That is, but you don't like hearing that because you're like, we've got to be smart. But who does the negotiations? It ain't Ollie out. It's the board who you don't like to blame for anything. So
on top of that, there's the suggestion that Man City don't go for obvious players or whatever. I mean, that's not even true. I'm not saying all their signings are household names. I think the fact that they are Man City and not Man United, we don't even speak about their potential transfer targets or hear about as much because they're a club. But when you look at a lot of their signings, let's look at their back line. Kyle Walker, 50 million from Spurs. Danny Rose, 50 million from Spurs. John Stones, 50 million from Everton. No, that's not Danny Rose. I was thinking about something.
You mean Cancelo?
Benjamin Mendy, 50 million from Benjamin Mendy, 50 million from Monaco after they had that brilliant season. Bernardo Silva, brilliant season at Monaco, same thing.
Let me ask you this then. Do you think
one second, Mahrez, 665 million from Leicester, Sterling, 50 million from Liverpool. So I know they've gone out and got the players that maybe we're not always talking about, but they've also spent a lot of money on players that everybody knows about. But the reason why they haven't paid more than 70 million, as we stated, paying not in cash.
You've also got to look when they sign. How much do they pay for Aguero?
Only 30 mil.
30s? 40, just under 40 mil, 38 million.
Okay, so but you've got to go back. You've got to look at it era based. So when they spent 38 million on Aguero when they signed him in what 2009, 2010, around that time, that's the equivalent of a modern day signing of 80, 90 to 100 million. The inflation had been dramatic since the new TV deal money came in. So you also have to understand that it's a bit like, it's very disingenuous sometimes to look at a £2 million signing from the early 90s and say, we got a world-class striker for £2.5 million. You had to spend £100 million on one. If you look at the inflation of money in football since then, a £2.5 million signing for a world-class striker in the early 90s is the equivalent of 120 million. Now, if you look at, I remember someone did the comparison with Wayne Rooney. Wayne Rooney was a £27 million signing. Do you know how much that's not a lot of money now, is it? But £27 million in 2004 is the equivalent of about £150 million now when you look at the inflation of money into the game of football. So you do need to be fair when you look at these comparisons. Otherwise, it's like saying, oh my God, Benjamin Mendy cost double the money that Wayne Rooney did. He didn't really. He didn't really. You know, you could have bought a mansion 30 years ago in the UK for like £500,000. Those same houses are now worth 10 million. Like, you've got to look at inflation and prices to be improved. But the biggest thing I would say, I test, is you're right. The club does need to be smarter. But how does the club become smarter? It gets run better. But you don't ever like to focus on how we're run. So what is it?
Listen, this is what I don't understand. Yeah, a lot of the time you complain about why are we not being smart with the transfers. Just a lot of the times you do that, but then at the same time you're like, oh, please get Haaland, please get Pogba.
I know where you. I know where you.
No, because you say.
I know where you've got this from.
Listen, let me tell you something.
I know where you've got this from. It's plagiarism. What you're basically saying is. And listen, I respect what Rance has got to. You're just plagiarizing Rance. I've heard Rance's streams. I watch Rance's stuff where he says Man United don't make smart signings; they sign obvious players. You're just plagiarizing here. And of course, you want to make. We've literally sat here on this stream and said the same thing. That of course, you want a Haaland. Of course, you want some of the obvious signings at the best. But you also need to pull out some gems. You also need to pull out some Amad Diallos, some Palestris. See how they work out. Those kind of signings are very important as well. We've literally said the same thing you're saying, and Rance is absolutely right. Not every signing should be the quintessential, top of the shelf, obvious player that everybody's going after. You want to pull in some Chicharitos. You want to pull in some Ole Gunnar Solskjaers out of the blue. You want to sign some players that not everybody's looking at, who come in and do a very good job. Of course you do. But how is that done? By having a brilliant run club.
I test. You say, oh, we need to do more smart signings. Signing Haaland would be smart because we need an elite striker. That makes it's a smart signing. Just because it's obvious does not make it smart. If we say no to Haaland,
it's not because it means we're not getting
Imagine this. We said no to Haaland because it's too obvious. We go sign some unknown striker and he flops, and you then start saying we should have signed Haaland. How is that smart?
Okay, let me clarify.
Obvious signings does not have to be smart. Signings does not have to be.
Okay,
obvious.
let me clarify.
They have to be like some known thing. They can be obvious and be smart at the same time. They're not mutually.
Let me explain. I'm not saying not obvious. Yeah, Haaland, yeah, is not a smart signing because of how much it's gonna be, and that means we might not even get a CDM in the summer. We might not even get a right winger centre, but are gonna waste most of the transfer budget on just Haaland. I'm not saying obvious. We're not allowed to get obvious. I'm saying there's players out there that everyone knows
right.
about.
Okay, I test, and let's just say you're right. Who's accountable for that?
Who's accountable? Ole Gunnar Solskjaer for always talking about Haaland. Let me tell you why. Because Ole's always talking about Haaland. Ole's always pushing to get Haaland, and he should be smarter. He knows that if we get Haaland, we're most likely not going to get a CDM. We're most likely not going to get a right.
Let me explain something to you. Right, the manager will identify a player that he wants. Right, so then it's the club's job to look at that profile of player and go out, scout, see if they can find a player of that profile. That comes down to the club. If the scouts aren't good enough, the club have employed the scouts, right? Mm-hmm. Again, this isn't like Fergie era. The managers don't do the deals anymore. It's not done like that. Also, like, people are annoyed that we got Dan James on Giggs' recommendation, and you want us to go and get a player on Erling Haaland's recommendation from Dortmund?
It's not Haaland's recommendation.
Do you know what I mean?
Actually doing stuff.
Yeah, it is.
I test. Listen, bro. Listen.
Terry, before you go, I guarantee you, yeah, if we sign some unknown brother or some unknown like guy that's like
it's not unknown, just someone who's cheap that fits.
Or someone like, if we sign someone who's cheap, you would be the first man to complain about why did we get this guy? He's not good enough. We should have got X
That's
player.
the only thing I will say where I understand. Listen, everybody's right in what they say. Like, when people say things like we need to sign smarter players, we need to have some smart signings, or we don't need to blow the whole budget here or there. A lot of these points are right, but as singular points. The problem is when you weigh everything up into its entirety, it comes down to one thing. All the things you're asking for need a well-run club and a well-run structure, and we just don't all agree that we have that in place right now. That's why, although I'm not 100% behind it because I don't know what's going to happen, I'm intrigued to see what comes of the director of football and the technical director, what they think we've got. And do things change? Because if this summer we pull off in terms of smart signings, now you're not always going to find obscure. It's hard now to find obscure players that no one's heard of. That's very difficult to do because of the way the world is. But if this summer you sign Haaland, you bought in Rafinha, you bought in Basuma, would you look at that eye test and say that's smart? Like a really good midfielder in Basuma, very good creator, technical footballer in Rafinha that plays on the right hand side, and a well-known prolific striker. Would you look at that and say that's smart business, or do you go no, it isn't because we've heard of them all, so it's all obvious?
No, that's not my point. That would be a very good transfer window. But my point is, if we get Haaland, we wouldn't be able to get Rafinha and Basuma as well. We're just gonna get Haaland and maybe some unknown right winger who's not even that good with him. That's but if we are capable of getting Haaland and a right winger and a CDM, then obviously that's a very good signing. Summer, but I don't think we would do that.
Yeah, I test. If we did spend all our budget on Haaland and decide no one else, you do know the people you should be angry at are the people who say that's all you're getting. Ollie ain't gonna sit there and be like, right, that's all I want is Haaland, that's it. He wants other players too. So if we spend all our money on Haaland and then say to Ollie that's all we're getting, you do know your anger should be at the people who give us the funds, who sign off the signings and say
it depends because if we don't know what's going on backstage, Ollie could be like, listen, I need Haaland. Yeah. And the board was like, listen, if you get Haaland, we're probably not going to be able to get you anyone else. But Ollie's like, listen, I want Haaland. Get me Haaland.
Bro. But what you're doing there, again, that's a fair point. That could be happening. But also the complete opposite could be happening where Ollie's like, listen, I need all three. We can only have one. So make your choice. Or we can't land the other two. They've said no, but we'll get you Haaland. So both of those things could be happening simultaneously. And you're absolutely right. We don't know. So if we don't know, you shouldn't show any bias in one direction or show any anger towards anybody, board or management. You get where I'm coming from? It's like you don't know. you don't quite know what's being said. All I would base it on, though, that the people that probably have the most closest to the facts would be the people that say it's more likely the board say you can have one but not the other two. How do we know this? Because 3 previous managers that have left the football club have stated and claimed and gone on record that this happens. We've had multiple chief scouts that feed into Man United's network say that this happens. So the facts of the matter, or the closest thing to facts we can get on this example, that it's more likely that the board shut down opportunities or fail to land the players, as opposed to a manager saying, forget everybody else, I only want one person. So based on if we're going to put a hypothesis out there, based on the most likely to be true, based on further accounts and facts from the past, the option that the board won't land these players or refuse to sign them or whatever it may be, that is more likely. That really is. Test, appreciate you coming on, mate, and giving us your opinions. Cheers, Ali. Speak to you soon. Final caller, we're getting Z on the line. Z, welcome back to the terrace, mate. What do you want to say?
What, can you not hear me?
Yes, bro.
How's it going, everyone? You all right? KJ, what's up?
Yeah, man. All good, bro. What's on your mind with this Haaland deal?
I'm against it. You already know why I'm against it. And I think we should be looking at other targets and try to utilize the budget as much as we possibly can in other areas. I've always been against that deal due to the agent, and we ain't even got creativity in our squad. I do believe Haaland is a striker that can pull something out the bag, but he's not going to perform to the levels he's performing right now with the lack of creativity within our squad. And if you've got like a Jack Grealish or a Sancho within our squad, yeah, maybe, but we don't.
We don't. Yeah. And I understand that the agent's probably the one thing we haven't really touched on so much in this stream. That would be one of my biggest fears, is the agent element. What he comes in and does, what he comes in and says, how it destabilizes things. Again, that will be another one of the, if you're going to create like a tick box, are these new board of directors doing anything? Sorry, not board of directors. Is a new footballing director and technical director doing anything? It's managing the relationships with these agents. So if Haaland came in and you saw no nonsense from the agent as an example, then maybe, you look at that and go, well, it seems like there's been an improvement there. Maybe they're managing the relationship better than Ed Woodward, who I think has the emotional intelligence of an half-eaten and banana. Yeah, like there's just nothing there in him at all. In terms of Haaland, though, do you think we would improve as a team? Like, I know we need more creativity, but if Haaland came in, do you think we'd score more goals and win more games?
We'll score about 10, 15 more. That's about it. But at the same time, does it improve the defense? Our problem isn't scoring goals this season. Our problem isn't scoring goals last season. Our problem is the defense. Yeah, there's been spells where people are mentioning the nil-nils, but we've got goals in our team. The problem is the creativity. The creativity is lacked. The clear-cut chances. I heard Neek say something earlier about the quality of the chance that Man City will have compared to the quality of chance Man United will have. People will be like, I think yesterday there was how many clear-cut chances could you remember from yesterday's game against West Ham? I can remember about one clear-cut chance, and that's the
probably
whipped in.
Two.
I'll say probably about 2.
What, you want to say the overlong one to Rashford from Bruno?
No, so there was the header. There was a header, and then there was the Greenwood counter attack.
Yeah, there was those two there that I would say were clear.
That's Greenwood.
But that's because we don't move.
Greenwood.
Yeah, so I think I look at it both ways.
Attack the ball.
One sec, guys. Those two statistically were big chances created. Like they will go down on the stats as big chances created. But there were two other things as well. There was the counter attack, where it's 4 versus 2, and all Dan James has to do is play a simple ball in front of Bruno. Bruno then passes the ball on. For me, I look as a football fan, I call that a chance.
Yeah.
And a better footballer on the ball passes it right. The other opportunity I see is a chance. There's great work from Greenwood, where he dribbles from the right-hand side and he puts it across the 6-yard box, but nobody had made a run towards that far post. That opportunity there, and this comes from having just better quality of player around the park. Haaland is there. He will know where to put himself. Top strikers have almost like an instinctive ability to be in the right place at the right time. Raheem Sterling at Man City has it. He'd have been in that position. He would have gone there. You actually watch Bruno Fernandes nibble up to that goal. Bruno doesn't go for those runs into the box often. He looks to be at the edge of the box. That's where he naturally likes to be. We had no one busting their guts to get to that area of the pitch. And it isn't about coaching. It's a natural instinct to where you want to go. For me,
it's coaching.
So for me, well, I don't know. I listen to what Pep Guardiola said. He gets the ball to the edge of the box and it's down to the players. There are some players that will, if it was about coaching, all wide inside forwards would make that what I call the Ronaldo run to that far post when the ball's on the opposite side. And very few do, because I think it's about instinct in those areas.
Terry, you're right. You can't coach desire and you can't coach instincts. They're the two things you cannot coach: desire and instincts. We lack it. Martial doesn't have the instincts to be a fox in the box, if you like. He's never had that about his game. He has to tell himself to do it. We never cut across the keeper. We never attack the posts. We don't even attack the spaces in the danger area where the ball is going to go.
You know who that is, that guy, though? You know who that is, that guy? That guy is Lukaku. I don't want to say it, but that guy is Lukaku, you know. Lukaku had desire more than anyone to score goals. He's like an old school Defoe. If Defoe's 100%. Outside the box, that guy's spinning and smashing that ball in it.
Do you know what? You're right. But you know what? This is the thing. What the point I was trying to allude to. We need more creators and we need goal scorers, but we need technical. Lukaku would have been at that far post for the ball from Greenwood. Lukaku would have also been the Dan James who passed the ball behind Bruno in the ground.
Yeah.
And that's how Man United, we just don't. And I'm putting it up again. How many players that have even played for us in the last 7-8 years would get into this first team from the team that they just wouldn't, because what this team had was prolific players and very good football players. And of course, they all made mistakes. And they all have a Dan James moment yesterday. They all, I should have gone to the far post instead of the near post. But it happened few and far between. We need one thing City have over us, aside from money and Pep, is they have better quality players in depth. And that's just what we need to look to do. Every position we look at now, it's like, I want to keep Rashford and Martial and Pogba, and I want to keep Greenwood, and I want to keep Bruno. I want to add to that. And that's where we need to improve. So Haaland coming in isn't an issue for me. But I want that doesn't for me then go, right, that's it there. We don't need more creativity on the right-hand side. What comes first is a great debate, but we just need both.
Yeah, 100%. We're in a situation, right, where we've got, look, I saw Dan James yesterday doing crosses to ghosts. He was doing crosses to reflections and shadows. Because my thing is, right, when we get better players, things will start to fall into place, but we need to get better players with a better style of football, for me. A better style of football that complements these players. Because you know what? People keep saying, okay, if we get Haaland, if we get this, we get that, fine. But you don't just put amazing players on the pitch and just think they'll smack it up. It's not going to work like that. You've got to get players that complement each other, that understand each other and build a squad. This is not FIFA where you can start flicking, transferring different players from different teams and have a flicking laugh. Do you know what I mean? Everybody's 99. It's not that.
You know what I'll say, Dom? I think people are not happy with Solskjaer's style of play, and you know that's subjective. Is fine with them, whatever. The way that we are a threat down the left hand side between Luke Shaw and Rashford, whoever's there, especially Luke Shaw this season has been brilliant, and we know goal scoring Rashford is good. If we had something similar down the right hand side, now we know we're not going to get that from AWB, but if you get a world class right winger, effectively your right hand side creates as much as your left hand side. I think we see, just by putting that player there, we see a much more better style of play, because the opposition now has to focus on both hand sides of your attack, which then creates more space for Bruno and hopefully a Pogba, if he can remain, through the middle of the pitch. I think the style of play is so hard to say whether it's right or wrong or good or bad, because the quality of play that we have in the midfield and down the right hand side are so lacking that everything's so limited onto the left hand side.
One of our best moves came from a direct pass from Fred to Bruno to Greenwood. That is essentially what Oli would love to do most of the time. But due to the inconsistency and the lack of quality of our midfielders and some of our players, that is something that we don't get to see all the time. Now, my thing is this. If we had the players who can do it consistently, and it's still not working, then yeah, cause the style of play, all of that, cool, innit? But until that point comes, we cannot fully judge the idea Oli has. You can judge his ability to adapt to the players that he has, but you can't judge his actual idea until the right.
But he has KJ because we bypass the midfield because they're not good enough. We bypass them. That's why nobody likes the style of play.
I get that. I think it's one of the for the Oli inners. It's the one argument they're always going to have that nobody can ever counteract. Around, you know, if you swapped Man City's squad with Man United's, would Pep still win the league? Potentially. Would they win 21 games on the bounce? Nah. they wouldn't. So, and you're like the greatest manager probably on planet Earth active in the game right now. So there is that element, you know, and that's what I'd say about Oli. We know he has his flaws. For him to be successful to the highest degree, you've got to give him the best quality players possible. You just do. Like, it's as simple as that. But listen, gents, all of you that have come on, thank you very, very much. I only was going to jump on for 40 minutes. Hour and 20 minutes later, still here chatting. Love it. We're back tonight, 5 p.m. show as usual, and live after Wolves versus Liverpool. Until next time, everybody, take care of yourselves. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you all again